The MetaQuest 3 just got some competition. This is the new Pico 4 Ultra, an update and refresh to the popular Pico 4, a great alternative to the Quest 2. It's seen some increases to the specifications, with up to 2.5 times more GPU performance and a 20% faster CPU. Now at first you would assume there isn't a huge difference between these two headsets because they look super similar. This is the Pico 4 and this is the Pico 4 Ultra, and aesthetically they do look almost identical, but the biggest key difference visually that you can tell between the two is the new dual camera pass-through design on the front of the Pico 4 Ultra. Everything else is sort of internal upgrades in terms of the performance this headset has, and it is a huge increase over the Pico 4. You can see the difference with the pass-through camera in this example right here. The distortion and image warping has been reduced and almost removed. Plus, the image retains more clarity compared to the old Pico 4, which was still good, but did look like a cell phone camera when you were in a darker room. Obviously, the improvements to this pass-through camera has its benefits. Firstly being mixed reality and AR experiences, which is a huge genre that's becoming very popular. Pretty much every single game has some form of integration with this style of playing. This then combined with improvements to the specifications and performance, we're rocking a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor, the exact same processor as the Meta Quest 3, but the Pico 4 Ultra has got 12 gigabytes of RAM compared to 8 gigabytes of RAM inside of the Quest 3. So you actually get better performance from this headset and also graphics fidelity because of the render resolution on the displays. Although the displays are the same as the Pico 4, because of the higher native render resolution per eye, this results in better graphic fidelity. Only thing the Meta Quest 3 does have over this is a higher screen refresh rate. This is a 90Hz display versus a 120Hz on the Meta Quest 3. Now, probably one of the most unique features when it comes to the Pico 4 Ultra, especially compared to something like a Meta Quest 3, are the first-party motion trackers that are supported straight out of the box. You can use up to 3 motion trackers with your Pico 4 Ultra, and this enables a completely different way to move around in VR games. And I got to check this out hands-on at the TikTok HQ at the launch event, and it's pretty cool. It lets you play things like sports games like football and actually kick the ball with your real-life foot. We'll get this one set up in today's video and see how it operates here in the studio and share my overall thoughts. At launch, there will be 20 standalone games that are supported on the Pico 4 Ultra with the motion trackers. Now, the motion trackers aren't exclusive to the new headset. The old Pico 4 actually does support it as well with the latest firmware update. So if you aren't in the position to upgrade your headset, or you just don't want to spend more money on a new VR setup, you can use your existing Pico 4. A pair of motion trackers costs £79, and you can use up to 3 with your headset. 2 on your ankles, 1 on the waist, and then of course, the Pico 4 and Pico 4 Ultra support hand tracking already within the headset. So all of those combined together creates a truly next-gen virtual reality experience. So I went ahead and jumped into a couple of different games to try out the motion trackers. First was Racket Club, which is a tennis game, and I actually made a friend, which was kind of hilarious. This game was a lot different than I expected. I thought it was just going to be literally a tennis game, but it has a whole sort of VR chat social element to it with a room that you can free roam and talk to people with the inbuilt microphone on the headset. The trackers work on your feet in this game to improve your movement within the court, but you can also attach trackers to additional objects. So if you did want something more weighted in your hand like a real life racket, you could attach a tracker to that, and you can configure all of these settings within the control center on the Pico 4 Ultra headset. Next up, I played Foot Pool. This was a weird game, but quite good. Essentially, you played pool or snooker on this football style pitch, and instead of using a cue to put the balls, you actually just kick them with the tracker on your foot. This worked very well, and if you had quite a large space, I could see this being very fun because you could literally walk around the entire pitch. If you are restricted on space, you can just use the thumbsticks on the controller to navigate the area. Now, on the topic of the controllers, these have changed quite a bit. So this was the original controller for the Pico 4, and this is the new and improved Pico 4 Ultra controller. It's much more lightweight, and also they've removed this massive halo tracking band that was on the old one. This makes the controller easier to pick up and also put down. You can move it around much more agile, but they've definitely also made improvements to the trigger. I hadn't noticed anything wrong with the Pico 4 trigger until I went back to using the headset after using the Pico 4 Ultra for a couple of weeks, and I realized how much almost cheaper the trigger feels, and this has a little bit more friction and feels more tactile, very similar to the Meta Quest 3 in its overall aesthetics and just the way it now feels ergonomically in your hand as well. However, the button layout does still remain the same. You've got your X, Y, A, B buttons like you would have on like an Xbox controller. You've got your joystick and then the 2 shortcut buttons for accessing the menu, taking screenshots, screen recording, resetting your view, lots of different stuff. A common complaint I've seen surrounding the Pico ecosystem in previous videos that I've made is surrounding the Pico store and the fact that it doesn't have as much content as something like the Meta store. However, this is definitely improving over time. Titles such as Bulletstorm VR are on the Pico headset, which I did check out, and it is enhanced for the Pico 4 Ultra. And if this still isn't sufficient and you're looking for even more, you can of course connect your Pico headset up to your gaming PC, either wired or wirelessly. With a wire, this would give you unlimited game time as it charges the headset at the exact same time via that Type-C connection. You can then access your full range of Steam VR games, which unlocks a whole new library of titles. Or with the Pico Connect app, if you were to stream wirelessly, you would get industry-leading 1000 megabytes a second streaming, which is ultra low latency, fast, and provides high-resolution gameplay. This is an example of a title running within Steam VR and streaming over to the Pico 4 Ultra. My gaming PC is doing all of the rendering here for the graphics. I've got an RTX 3080 Ti. It's not the latest and greatest PC that I was using, but it was more than sufficient for a high-level VR gaming experience. Within the Pico Connect app, you can tweak the rendering resolution of your VR headset, both increase it and decrease it depending on your GPU. The game I'm playing here is Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I found the experience to be flawless. And after spending the initial time to set it up within Steam VR, it was then seamless launching between the various different games. Now, this VR headset isn't just useful for people that want to play video games. It does also have some additional features that are great for productivity and working, but also for consuming content, specifically spatial video. This is a feature that you usually have to purchase an Apple Vision Pro for that costs thousands and thousands of pounds, but within the Pico 4 Ultra, you can do quite a lot. You can both watch spatial videos that you filmed with your iPhone, or you can take spatial videos and photographs directly within their headset. You're seeing an example of this right here. I was wearing the VR headset inside of my car to capture this, to show you the rough quality you would get from this. This was quite a low lit environment, not ideal for spatial video, but I did also take a few clips on my iPhone and I could then consume them within my Pico 4 Ultra. The way you transfer the footage onto your headset is via the app. You log into your Pico account and then you can access your photographs and videos directly on your smartphone. And then within a matter of seconds, it will import all of this content over onto the headset. I've never experienced spatial video before because I don't have an Apple Vision Pro or anything like that lying around the studio, and it was a very nice experience overall to sort of see this much more immersive video format. Now, ultimately, the biggest question's always going to be, should you buy the Meta Quest 3 or should you buy the Pico 4 Ultra? Although both headsets share a lot of similarities, it's also very difficult to compare the two, especially because of the price points. Firstly, neither headset has the same amount of internal storage. The Meta Quest 3's base model is 128GB, whereas the Pico 4 Ultra starts at 256GB. Plus the additional 12GB of RAM compared to 8GB of RAM, you're instantly going to have a slightly higher price for the Pico 4 Ultra straight away. But I think this higher price is justified because of the feature set the Pico 4 Ultra has, plus those motion trackers is kind of a game changer, especially once even more game developers start to leverage the capabilities of this technology. But more importantly, an overlooked area is the quality of the head strap. I've never been a fan of the Meta Quest headsets. That elastic head strap is just frankly terrible that comes in the box, and it obligates you to have to upgrade to the Pro head strap. Whereas both the Pico 4 and Pico 4 Ultra have a counterweighted design head strap. With the battery built into the back, it means the front and rear of the headset is exactly the same, making it very comfortable so you can have multiple VR sessions within a single day. I can also wear it with my glasses on without me having to go and put my contact lenses in, and I do not get that VR nose with the big red marks or the red marks surrounding my eyes, which I do get on the Meta Quest 3. So I'm going to answer some of your questions surrounding the Pico 4 Ultra that you left on my last video. The first one is, can it play Gorilla Tag? I've had this a few times. Unfortunately, it cannot play Gorilla Tag directly on the Pico 4. It's not on the store. It's an exclusive over on the Meta Quest store. But I have heard there is a workaround where you can sort of install the Meta app on your gaming PC, and then you can sort of access it that way, a little bit like Steam VR. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I'd read on Reddit, and Reddit's always true, ain't it? Next question was, can it play VR chat? Yes, it can play VR chat. That is available on the Pico store. If that's your vibe, you can access that game right there. Something really cool you can also do in VR chat is use the motion trackers for full body motion tracking, which is a very unique feature that the Pico headsets have. Now, I did see a few comments surrounding the aesthetic of the Pico 4 Ultra, saying it was a copy of the Apple Vision Pro headset. Pico 4 did come out before the Apple Vision Pro, and it looks exactly the same as the Pico 4 that came out in 2022, I think it was. So I don't really think it's ripped off the luck anyway in that way. Now, another point of controversy surrounding the headset was the fact that it is owned by TikTok. So TikTok own ByteDance, that's the parent company, and ByteDance also own Pico. Now, I don't really see the big issue here because Facebook own Meta. So if you trust Facebook to have your Meta headset, then of course you're not going to really have any issues with TikTok. Either way, it's owned by a social media company. I don't really see the difference. Like, that's not really a pro or con, because if you say that's a con, who wants to own a headset by TikTok, but then you also own a headset by Facebook? I don't really get what your argument is. One last comment that I seen was in regards to the specifications. Someone broke down all of the specs, and I like the point that they raised here. They mentioned the Wi-Fi 7 benefits, much faster bandwidth and all that types. I'm not going to go into the details of Wi-Fi 7, but it does have its benefits. Of course, that means when you are leveraging that 1000 megabytes a second streaming rate across the Pico Connect app to your headset, it's going to be absolutely flawless on those newer routers compared to the Wi-Fi Band 6E on the Meta Quest 3. I'll leave links down below to the Pico 4 Ultra where you can go and check it out and see all of the details surrounding the features that I've mentioned in today's video. If you want to learn more about the previous Pico 4, you should check out this video here where I break it down and compare it. But as always, I've been Ben Rowlands. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.